What's up, guys? This is Andrew Smersek with Combat Art Training. Today we're going to be talking about 5 things you should be doing to get better at shooting and all the tasks associated with that. Now, keep in mind, shooting is a skill. Skills are not the thing that wins gunfights, right? Look at the survival principles that were taught by Masada Ayub in Tactical Response. It's mindset, then tactics, then skills, what we're talking about today, and then gear. And yeah, your skills can become a tactic, your gear can become a tactic as well. But we're trying to make our skills subconscious, something that we don't have to try to do, something that we can just do on command, right? First thing, this arguably is the most important, right? I just wanted this to be at the beginning of the video. Number 5, make firearm safety subconscious. Reason why I say that, again, seeing guys come through, I've been shooting my whole life and, stuff like that. I was in the military. You got to know what the actual firearm safety rules are. You have to abide by them at all times. And I would say you should know them verbatim, right? So like understand them, abide by them, and know them verbatim. If you don't really know what the firearm safety rules are, you may have an idea of what firearm safety means, but really that's not what it actually means. For example, guys will be afraid to shoot fast or shoot from standing or shoot one-handed because they feel it's not safe, right? Or like if I'm standing here and the target's over here and you're standing right there shooting that target, what firearm safety rule are we breaking? We're not breaking a firearm safety rule. That could be a range rule very easily, but there's no actual firearm safety rule being broken. So they may think all that stuff is totally unsafe, yet they'll pick up a gun, and because they think it's unloaded, they'll totally flag everyone and say, oh, it's all right, it was unloaded. Not the way it works, all right? First rule is treat every gun as if it were loaded. All right, so there's 4 rules. Watch my video, link in the description. I wish that was my most viewed video, honestly. But watch my firearm safety video. Watch it a couple times, like for real. Take it seriously. Once you understand these rules, you will not be limited, right? Because if you go to a range and they're like, hey, you can only shoot 1 round every 3 seconds. Okay, all right. Are you going to get better shooting 1 round every 3 seconds? I mean, there's stuff you can do, but really it limits you on what you can do. Or they say like, oh, you can't shoot that rifle standing. You have to be at a bench, right? And like lots of shit I practice over at Aries, I would get kicked out of anywhere for doing that. Like one-handed rifle shooting at 100 yards, shooting pistol 100 yards. No, like barely any ranges will let you shoot a pistol past 25 yards. Stuff like that. So if you actually know what the firearm safety rules are, and you go to a range that has a bunch of range rules that limit you, you can recognize that and you can pick a better location to practice somewhere that's not going to limit you like that. And again, if you don't know what the firearm safety rules are, you're not abiding by them at all times, doesn't matter how long you've been shooting, that makes you an amateur. So first, number 5 is make firearm safety subconscious. Next, number 4 is use martial gun handling. This is a term that came from James Yeager of Tactical Response, and I fucking love it. And the hard part about it for me is that whenever I see someone not using martial gun handling, it makes me cringe real hard. Now, what martial gun handling is handling your gun in the same way you would in a gunfight. So every time you come out of the holster, it should be a proper draw stroke. Every time you do a reload, it should be a real reload. If you get a malfunction, you should clear it the correct way. Too often I see stuff like a guy will pick a gun up off the table, or he'll load it on the table. So he'll take his gun, take a magazine, push it in the gun right here while looking at it on the table. Then he'll pick it up with a shitty grip, and then he'll ride the slide home. And then he'll go to shoot, and it's a nightmare, all right? Every time you pick up a gun, you are building a habit, right? Those habits you build are what you will apply to a gunfight. It's all the same habits you'll use with just a little bit of pressure, like a timer. And if you haven't really mastered the basics, you should not be fucking with timers anyways. it's a waste of time. But if you're doing things correctly 100% of the time, running your gun the proper way, you will make that stuff easier. You will build a subconscious, because then every single time you do that thing with your gun, you're getting a proper rep. All right. If you're gaffing it off, you'll never get good at it. Right. And we can expand more on that later. But just learn how to run your gun, right? And those things that you learn, only do that from now on, okay? Just only do that. Only practice it that way. Every time you're loading your gun, it should be like you're doing a reload. If you get a malfunction, you should be clearing it the proper way. Don't ever be running your gun dry and then setting it on the table and then popping the mag out and then loading that mag and then reloading the gun with just that mag. You should be doing if your gun goes dry, you should be doing a reload. If there's no new mag, you should go to a new gun. If there's no new gun, you should go to a knife, or just be ready to get a fist fight. Build that subconscious, okay? Next, do the hard stuff, okay? So if you're good at shooting whatever group at whatever distance, do it faster, do it one-handed, right? We can use metrics with it. So do it faster, do it at a greater distance, and use a smaller target or keep a smaller group. And just because you can, like, you know, shoot a dime or whatever at 10 yards doesn't mean you can hit a bigger target at 100. You have to go and actually practice that distance. It feels way different. Your mind does not recognize it the same way. Just because you can hit a small thing at a short distance doesn't mean you can hit a big thing at a greater distance, okay? You have to go and actually practice those distances. One thing for myself that I've been striving to do is, with my pistol, being able to hit the steel targets at areas at 100 yards. So 12 by 18 inch steel targets, 100 yards. I want to get to the point where I can ring that steel, like draw out of the holster and ring the steel 10 out of 10 shots, and do that consistently. Not there yet, trying, but that's what my goal is. All right, so do the hard stuff. Again, think about those metrics. Faster, greater distance with a smaller target. You don't need to use a timer. Again, you do not need to use a timer for this. You know if you're doing it faster or not. You can also do everything one-handed. Shooting, your reloads, your malfunctions, your draw, everything. You can always practice that one-handed and practice it with your offhand frequently too, because we know that we don't like using the offhand because it's hard, right? But do the hard stuff. It's going to make you better. And then once you get good at the hard stuff, you can start doing like trick shots and stuff like that, and it unlocks something in your mind where you just become a more confident shooter. You just become better all the way around because you've been practicing the hard stuff and getting good at it. Next, number 2, practice with purpose. So if you're going to the range, it shouldn't just be to shoot, right? There should be something that you're practicing. Put a purpose to that trip. You're investing money, you're investing time, you're investing energy, right? Think about the price of ammo. Even today, with the price of ammo being as shitty as it is, when my girls work in the tents at areas and checking people in, be like, hey, you want a target stand? You're like, it's all right, we're just going to shoot the berm. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, that dude's buying the same ammo you are. He's just throwing that shit away. For real. So have a plan, right? If I'm going to the range, I'm going to practice these 3 things that I'm trying to get better at. You don't have to go to the range to get better at everything too. Like your reloads, your draw stroke, your malfunctions clearing, one-handed work too. You can do all that in dry practice, and you don't have to press the trigger, but you can do dry fire also, where you do press the trigger. Do that safely, please. I mean, there's a lot of great videos about it. I'll have a video on it sometime also, but do it safely. You can get really good at reloads without going to the range. And don't practice it for too long. Don't multitask. Everyone sucks at multitasking. I don't care what you say. Practice really hard and do your best. And then once you start to get bored, stop. And you don't have to practice the thing you don't want to practice. If you're like, I don't fucking care about this today, don't do it. Because you might just build shitty habits because you're not taking it seriously. All right? But practice with purpose. Anytime you're going to put time and energy into developing a skill or going to the range or doing anything gun related, do it with purpose and you're going to get the most out of your time. And then number one, most important thing is learn more. Of course, going to a training class is the best thing you can possibly do. You can watch a lot of great videos. Also in the description and at the end of the video is going to be the fundamentals playlist. Please watch that. You'll get a lot out of it. I tell everyone you'll get years ahead on pistol shooting just from watching those videos. But there's a lot of great resources out there. Lots of schools that put out DVDs, and go fucking buy those DVDs, buy the subscription to that website, and don't fucking steal it by borrowing someone else's username and password. You're like the fucking people that were stealing Wi-Fi when that first came out, or I can't afford a Netflix subscription. No, like fucking pay for it. Come on. It's ridiculous. It's like buying a couple candy bars at the gas station twice in a week. It doesn't cost that much. But learn more. Going to a training class is the best thing. You can self-teach yourself by watching great videos and applying those things, but it's a much longer, harder process. And honestly, valuing your time and the ammo and the energy you're putting into it, it's not as good as just going to a good class. So you can look at my interviews with different instructors and you can see the people I train with, people I recommend. But going to class is the most important thing. Next, you can watch videos, you can get better off of that, you can read books. You can go practice with people, but make sure they're like-minded at least, right? Make sure they're actually trying to improve themselves. They're not just going to shoot for fun. Like, I don't go to the range with anyone who wants to just go shooting for fun, because I'm putting in a lot of time, money, and energy into being there, and I don't want someone else holding me back with nonsense. I certainly won't go with anyone who I deem is going to be unsafe. Another great thing is just go with someone who is above you, who's a good, positive person to be around, who's further down the road on their skills than you are. Do that. But yeah, don't just go with the Joe Blow reloader dude who wants to shoot into the berm. Anyways, hey, hope you got something out of that video. Do those things, and if you stick to that simple philosophy, you will get better. All right, it takes practice, it takes time. Hitting the target really isn't a big deal, honestly. The only fundamental of accuracy of marksmanship, the only true fundamental is just keep the gun still while you press the trigger. And there's a bunch of techniques on how we do that, and how we can do it faster at greater distances, stuff like that. But honestly, we're just trying to keep the gun still while we press the trigger. It's not that big of a deal. All the time I'll have a brand new shooter or someone who just got a pistol and they're not used to shooting a pistol at all, and I'll just talk them through how to grip the gun, how to look at the sights, and how to press the trigger, and they will ring the steel at 100 yards, 12 by 18 inch steel with their pistol, like all the fucking time. All right, it's not a big deal. The hardest part really is just the mental side. Understanding is not a big deal, and once you get that, you really get a lot better at everything shooting related. So thank you for watching. If you like this video, if you like the fundamentals playlist, the firearm safety video, and all the other content we're putting out, please take a look at our website. There's a link in the description. You can get training there. You can also buy gear. We've got rifle slings, we've got new magazine pouches, a whole new EDC line that's come out. So please check that stuff out. Share this video, share links to the different gear that we have, and thank you for watching. Keep fighting communism.